Dear class, so in the previous video we were looking at fractions with units. Am I right? So today we're going to take a look at a new sort of fraction of word problems involving fraction of a set. Now before we begin, let's revise what we learned last week. The last video was referring to fractions with units. Now what are fractions with units? Fractions with units are fractions with a unit attached to it. Okay, these are some examples of fractions with units. For example, in terms of time, there is 12/3 of an hour, volume 2/3 liters, mass 2/3 of kilograms, and length 2/3 centimeters. So all these are examples of how fractions can be attached with a unit. Alright, fraction with a unit attached to it. But today we're going to take a look at another kind of word problem that involves fraction of a set. Fraction of a set. This is an example of a word problem involving fraction of a set. Now before we begin, let's start by reading the question. There are 150 buttons in a bottle. 2 out of 6 of them are blue, half of them are red, and the rest are green. How many green buttons are there? Before we start doing a question, let's remember what we should do first. Okay, what are the steps to take to solve word problems? Now we have learned AMMN, annotations, models, matching statements, as well as number statements. So we're going to apply AMMN to solve this word problem. Okay, let's begin with A, annotations. Okay, let's highlight the keywords in this word problem. There are 150 buttons in a bottle. Okay, 150 buttons in a bottle. 2 out of 6 of them are blue. One out of 2 or half of them are red and the rest are green. Now let's take a look at these fractions in this sentence. Alright, this fraction, okay, this phrase, this is a fraction, 2 out of 6 of them. 2 out of 6 of them. It is the same phrasing as a fraction of a set. Fraction of a set. Fraction of a set. So in this case, let's understand what does this phrase mean in the question. Alright, 6 over here is the denominator. Now we have learned that the denominator refers to the number of units of a set. So the denominator will refer, okay, to the number of units of the set. Fraction of a set. So the them, okay, it refers to the set. Can you tell me this them, it also refers to which, to what information? Okay, good. It also refers to the 150 buttons, okay, mentioned in the question. So this them and this 150 buttons are the same. They are the set. Alright, now let's take a look at the numerator now. The numerator refers to the number of units of the condition. In this sentence, 2 out of 6 of them are blue. The condition is that they are blue. So these 2 units refer to the number of blue buttons, the number of units of blue buttons in the bottle, which is 2 out of 6. 2 units. 2 units are blue buttons. Alright, now let's take a look at the next part of the question. Half of them are red. 1 out of 2 of them are red. So let's begin to understand this again. Half. This 2 is the denominator. The denominator refers to the set. Right? Fraction of a set. Denominator refers to the set. The denominator, it refers to the set. Alright? Fraction of a set. Denominator refers to the set. So, looking at this, okay, we can see that the denominator, 2 units, okay, denominator. Now, refers to the set. So now, let's take a look at the numerator. Okay, 1 out of 2 of them are red. So the numerator refers to the condition. So 1 out of 2 of them are red. Right? And the rest are green. The rest are green. So my question asks me, how many green buttons are there? So this is where my question mark will go. Alright, the number of green buttons. So this is the end of our annotations. Okay, we've understood the question, understand what does each fraction means, okay, and we are ready to begin to solve the question. Now, before we go on to the next part, the models, are we able to start drawing the models? Let's take a look at both fractions here. 2 out of 6 and 1 out of 2. Do they have the same denominator? No. So before we begin, we have to change, okay, one of the fractions such that both fractions will have the same denominator. In this case, I will change this fraction. Okay, 1 out of 2. I'll change its denominator to 6, and in order to do so, I have to multiply both the denominator and the numerator by 3, and I will get 3 out of 6. Okay, and this refers to the number of red buttons, to the number of units of the red buttons. 3 units out of 6 units are red, right? So now let's take a look at this. Before we start drawing our model, we have to ask ourselves, how many units are there for the set? 6. Why is that so? Because when we take a look at a fraction of a set, the fraction, okay, we look at the denominator. The denominator is 6, and we know that the denominator refers to the number of units of the set. So in this case, let's start to build the model. The entire set has 6 units. 1, 2, okay, let me shift this to a side, 2, 3, 4, okay, this is not so fitting at the moment, right? 4, 5 and 6. Okay, there are 6 units in this model. Okay, let me try to get it to fit well. Okay, now we know that there are 6 units in the set, and let's take a look at the question. There are 150 buttons in a bottle. Now we know the total amount, okay, the number of 6 units, there are 150 buttons. Alright, there are 150 buttons. So the entire stretch will be 150 buttons. Alright. Okay, then let's begin to fill in the rest of the information. 2 units out of 6 units of them are blue. 2 units out of 6 units of them are blue. So 2 units, out of 6 units, these 2 units are blue. Half of them are red. Half of them refers to 3 units. So 3 units are red, right? Okay, and the rest are green. The rest are green, and we know that this is the piece of information that we're trying to find out. Looking at this model, are we able to solve the questions? Firstly, let's think, what is the information that we can work with? Note that we can find out, we have found out that there are actually 6 units in this model, and these 6 units are actually 150 buttons. 150 buttons. So we can write it down in our statements, okay? The matching statements. 6 units is 150. 1 unit will be 150 divided by 6, which is 25. And we know that the green buttons, which is also the same as 1 unit, will then be 25. And we write down our statement. So this is how we can solve a question involving fraction of a set. Let's go through the steps quickly. Annotations, models, matching statements, number statements. Annotate, model, matching statements, number statements. Alright, so same thing, stop, think and check. See if you understand the steps taken to solve these problems. Alright, once you're done, you may try to do your TMO at home and complete them.